but they can't really give up what I would call good or justifiable reasons. They'll say he's just not a good fit for the family. They don't tell me to stop dating him, but they do tell me that I need to keep them and him separate. They don't want to really hear about him, and he's not welcome at their house or cabin. He's never cheated on me, abused me, he has no substance problems, etc. Nothing that a normal parent would cite as a problem. Eventually it became an ultimatum given to me by my parents. They tell me that if you continue to date him, eventually it will be either him or us and you'll have to choose. Among other things, they would tell me that he'd never be an attorney, which is what he wanted to do, and insinuating that he probably wouldn't be much of anything at all. After undergrad I started working at a financial firm. He graduated from undergrad at UC Berkeley and was accepted to law school across the country. We were always very serious about each other and made the decision to go long distance until he graduated and moved back to CA. My boyfriend has since graduated from law school, moved home, and took the bar last month. He starts work this October, and had a contract since last year. They have known about this as well. Now, 6 years into our relationship, I call my parents and tell them that we are going to be moving in together. About 20 minutes later I get a text from my mom, saying that she doesn't want to rain on my parade, but that this path excludes her and my dad from my future. That they love me but they can't be in my life if I choose to be with my boyfriend. I told them I would never understand. Since then, they have sent me more and more text messages saying stuff like, "We feel like we're losing our daughter, this is heartbreaking," etc., and all at the same time including that this is my choice and my fault. I texted my parents that I thought my boyfriend and I should come over and talk. That texting about this kind of thing is stupid, but not to be patronized or belittled, and if it turned to screaming that we would leave. My parents then replied that they wanted to see me face to face to talk, but that my boyfriend isn't allowed. My boyfriend even called my father the night of the initial "we can't be part of your life" text to try and talk or meet up and see if there was a way to talk through any legitimate concerns. My dad did not answer and responded until a week plus later, only to text him that they haven't really ever liked him, that he wants to work through it with me alone, and it's my and my boyfriend's fault for not trying to address things earlier. Among other ridiculous reasons too. Not like my boyfriend, where Berkeley isn't a man's college. My dad. One time in college, my professor lost my final exam, and when I found out by my final grades and was frantically calling her to figure out what happened, my parents told my boyfriend, "See, this is why we didn't want her to have a boyfriend in college." They found ways to blame him for everything. The only thing that ever had any merit was that he wasn't working yet. Well, this was because he was going to school to be a lawyer. My boyfriend is the nicest, most calm and peaceful person ever, and he loves me more than anything. But apparently their pride is more important than being wrong and accepting him. Update. After many more hurtful texts from my parents that said they can't accept my partner and that it doesn't matter if he's a good fit for me. If he's not a good fit for my family, then it's never going to work out. I went over in person to meet with them and pick up my legal documents. They made it clear that my boyfriend was not welcome and that this was a family matter they needed to speak with only me about. So, I went alone. It was strange, walking into your parents' house and feeling like you're meeting strangers. Kind of felt like having a 26-year-long relationship and being broken up with via text, then having to go pick up your poop and memories from your ex's house. Except that ex is your parents. After about an hour of small talk, we got into the nitty-gritty convo about the elephant in the room. They came at me from every angle. My dad said, "He's not a man's man. I don't respect him, I hate him. He's taking away the most precious thing in our life. How could you not hate someone like that?" Even at some point physically threatening him. My mom was either agreeing or adding little tidbits and reminders of things she doesn't like about him, mentioning also that she doesn't like that I made the first move to talk to my boyfriend and not the other way around. You get the gist. It was all out war on my boyfriend. They tell me I'm depriving them of a son-in-law. They say he is selfish for not breaking up with me years ago when he realized that my parents didn't like him. They even just started blindly throwing out shots like I don't even know if he has any friends. But I digress. At the end, I have to break the news that in between all of the hurtful texts and prior to this meeting, my boyfriend and I signed a lease and moved in together. Nothing they were going to say was going to sway me otherwise. Even they said that. I tell them first that we signed the lease and where it is. They start going off about how, oh of course, making it easy on him again. So they see this move as me being some smitten teenage idiot. Not about how this is a relationship with compromise. They tell me that my commute is going to be brutal and that I'm lying to myself if I think it's not. But it's clear that I can't slowly ease into it and I have to just rip off the band-aid because they are straight up just wrong and trying to convince me that I don't know what I'm talking about. So I say, I've already been doing it for a week. We moved in last weekend. They are just dumbfounded. My mom starts crying. My dad keeps saying, "You effed up kid." It's about 10 p.m. at this point, so now that they know I have a slightly longer drive home, they are kind of sweeping me out the door so I can get home before it gets too much later. My mom gives me this big sobbing hug. At this point I've run out of tears. I was crying throughout the entire conversation, but at this point was just over the bullshit. My dad, who rarely even tells me that he loves me, gives me this awkward desperate hug too that just kind of makes me roll my eyes. I get in the car and drive home just totally exhausted and confused. Truthfully, they did a good job of again making me question my own thoughts and choices. But I get home and just start spilling everything that they said to my boyfriend. He's not surprised, but as I said in my last post, he remains Swiss in all of this and doesn't say anything shitty about them. He just holds me close and lets me vent. All of this to say, the answer you've all waited for is that I moved in with my boyfriend. I'm keeping mom and dad at arm's length, and also I have started therapy.